As a deer hunter, I want to know all I can about America's favorite big game animal. That's why I became a deer farmer. Without deer farms, we lose our greatest resource for research and whitetail management. With them, we gain more knowledge than ever before. Join me as we discover the truth about whitetails and meet those who work every day to preserve this great species for future generations. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories.
I want you to take a look at some of these deer. They look like they're northern deer, don't they? I mean, they are giant, high, wide, and they're all heavy. But if you think they're northern deer, I think you're going to be surprised when you find out that on today's show, we're in Texas, real close to the Oklahoma border, at a whitetail farm called High, Wide, and Heavy. And on today's show, you're going to see that northern deer brought down here in this Texas climate can do real well, and they do get high, wide, and heavy.
All right, we're getting close, so I'll be here any second. Here it is, right here. Well, howdy.
Hello, Keith.
Long time no see.
Yeah. Keith, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to
Welcome.
get in the air conditioning.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too.
Get in here. Let's go.
We've been in the deer farming business for about 10 years. And the reason we got into it is because my son and I love whitetail deer. We enjoy just seeing them, and we think they're a unique, beautiful animal. And we just wanted to have some to start with, a couple of pens, so we could observe them and see them anytime we wanted to.
4 people involved in the group. It's myself, my father, Cleon, Bob Burlingame, and Sarah Dusenberry. Sarah runs the office here for us. Cleon is the shepherd. He's with the deer every day, daylight till dark, a job that I'm gunning for, to be honest with you. And then you've got Bob Burlingame, and Bob, he's the brains of the outfit. He's the one that really tries to determine the best matches as far as the bucks and the does.
My role at the deer farm is setting up the breedings, both the live breedings that we have here, strategically determining which bucks match with which does, and then also overseeing our artificial insemination program. The blood in our pens is about 90 to 95% northern. We've got some leftover South Texas blood that we had from some hybrids that we had a number of years ago, but we've moved to almost purely northern because we've established that they survive well, particularly the fact that we've got 4 and 5 generations of these northern deer, and they just get a lot bigger. If you want mass, you almost have to go big northern deer in our experience.
Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by the North American Deer Farmers Association, New Dart, Newport Labs, the North American Deer Registry, Beam Fence Company, Shock Effect, GMS, Deer Guardian Misting Systems, Record Rack Deer Feeds, T3 Whitetails, and Dr. Ray Favero's Whitetail Genetics.
When it comes to genetics, I really like listening to what Bob has to say. When I listen to his words, I think just like Cleon has wisdom about life and about deer, Bob is very wise when it comes to genetics.
From a genetic standpoint, we look for dominant genetics in a couple of ways. In the buck, we're looking at what's on his head, and then we're looking at what he's thrown. It's very hard for me to justify getting excited about the new buck of the day because in general these bucks don't have a long track record of throwing buck fawns or doe fawns, either one, and without that offspring to look at, it's very difficult to see what that buck's going to do. The picking through dominant genetics is a very difficult process, and many times that's why I like to go back to some of the older line bucks because we have a good track record with them. I think we've underrated a lot of those bucks because our husbandry techniques have changed now. We're growing deer bigger with the same genetics, and I think we underrate a lot of those older line bucks anyway, and to find one that throws dominant traits because we have such a history on them is really, really helpful in a breeding program like ours. With regard to the frames on our deer, the consistency that we're looking for requires breeding with dominant genetics that primarily throw big frames and throw them in a consistent fashion. If dealing with recessive genetics, the problem is you'll have one buck out of 20 or 30 does, or one buck out of 100 fawns that is really, really big, but the only way you're going to achieve consistency and consistently big frames is to breed with dominant genetics.
I look at it and think, how many pens do you have total?
22.
22. And how many deer do you have on the entire place?
We have about 350.
Wow.
And when we started, we're going to build 2 pens just to have some deer to look at. And we decided, well, it wouldn't take much more to build 3 pens. Why don't we just build 3? And we talked and said, we're really not going to need that. And now, fast forward to now, there's 22 pens, and we keep saying we need more room.
But you know what, that's almost the kind of deal that it seems like to me that when you start in the deer business, you do it because you love deer, and you wind up, you start, let's say, with 10. Pretty soon you can get to 110 in a real big hurry, can't you?
I think in 2 years.
It's like you just multiply like crazy. No, the pens are really big. I mean, you've got large pens, and I mean, I see you got does and fawns up in here, and
this is our breeder buck pen here, and as you can see, it hasn't gotten hot enough yet that they've gotten up. You can just see their racks sticking up above the green.
Right.
And we've got 9 breeder bucks in here. And
what are the ages on them? I mean, from what to what?
Well, there's a couple of bucks in there that are 7 years old. They were born here. There's 2 bucks that are 6 years old. There's 3 that are 5 years old. And I think there's 1 in there that's 4 now.
Okay. Folks, the deer you're looking at, Cleon, well, first off, let me tell you a little bit about Cleon. Cleon is a soft-spoken, kind man, good man. And he is, and he's not going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. He is not going to boast on himself at all. I'll do that for him. I mean, about him. He's got all these deer you're looking at right here. They were all born right here, right?
That's true.
Okay, he doesn't go out and buy bucks to bring here. With Bob, his partner, and Greg, his son, they wind up coming out here, and there's really a system that they use to breed these deer. I mean, you look at them and they're all big, they're all huge, and these are your breeder bucks. I'm amazed, and the thing is, Cleon is not going to tell you that he's not going to tell you a lot of things that I'm going to tell you. So it's important to look at a lot of guys that have big breeder bucks wound up buying them. He didn't do that here. He grew them. Good job.
So I know that you use these guys to breed your deer, okay? But you also do artificial insemination, don't you?
Yes, and we really did either none or very little AI until about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was to introduce some new genetics into our line bred deer that we have, that it was time to take a next step. So that took a lot of, I'm gonna say, input from our good partner, Bob Burlingame.
Mm-hmm.
He's a genetic genius. He remembers everything he ever read and has an opinion as to, okay, how do you make it better now?
He has talked to me about looking for the dominant genetic traits in particular animals and see how they throw. And it's clear from the animals that you've got here that he is onto something.
Here's my opinion about that is I've been to a lot of breeders' facilities and I've never heard anyone talk about that like Bob does. He does it with such passion, and he has a result in mind when he's planning, okay, what's the next step, what do we need to do to create an animal that we're going to be excited about. You know, you get to the point where it takes more to excite you than when you first started, and so we look at this crop that's coming up and fawns that are on the ground now, and we know that our yearling pen is superior to what our 2-year-old pen here was when they were yearlings. I mean, you can just see the difference immediately. And now we've got a crop of fawns on the ground, 140 something fawns, and we already know they're going to be better than the yearlings that we have. That'll keep your adrenaline flowing.
Well, that's because you're doing it right. And Bob is a master at going through and sifting through all the information and finding that one little deer over here, one nugget deer over there, one, I call it a nugget, so it's a valuable deer, to where he starts introducing. So what y'all have done, y'all have line bred these animals where they're real tight, and now all of a sudden you're looking for other animals to outcross these does too, correct?
That's exactly it.
All right, a second ago we were showing you the breeder bucks that he's got, and all of them out here at this farm have been born on here. And I asked him about his 2-year-olds, but we're fixing to show you 2-year-olds. And these 2-year-olds I want you to take a good look at, because the breeder bucks that we just showed you, when they were 2, they were not near as impressive as these guys. So let's take a look at them now. I mean, as I look through here, there's only 4 of them in here, but they're all 4 outstanding animals. And if you would, I really like that clean, typical one right there. Tell me about it. I was going to say, because out of all of them, that clean, typical is just beautiful. Tell me about him.
Well, he is the result of some more of Bob's, I'm going to say, wizardry with genetics. And that's what we're trying to produce. Big ones that are not just big, but big and beautiful. And it's hard to do. You can have good genetics and have really big deer, but it's hard to come up with that look.
That look is absolutely beautiful, and that really and truly, that's the look that much of the industry is going for now. And I look at him and I think, as big as he is missing a G4 on that one side. And so I'm just wondering, how do you feel about using him to breed? Because if it was me, I would breed him like crazy, because he's got the frame and the look.
Well, he's just 2 years old. And the doe that he's out of is out of a buck that had the exact same situation when he was 2 years old. And every year after that, he was a typical, squeaky clean 12 point. So I feel confident that that'll come through, but not just because of that, but because of what's on the top side.
Now, we talked about how these guys are better at 2 than the breeder bucks we just showed you, but I want y'all to realize what we're fixing to show you on the 1-year-old pen. You're not going to believe your eyes, because the 1-year-olds this year smoke what these guys were at 1. So if you're impressed with these guys at 2, wait till you see the 1-year-olds.
Now it's time for the Beam Fence Minute.
As a landowner, one of the things that a lot of guys have problems with is having a fence that's properly spliced together. I'm Mark Beam from Beam Fence Company. Let me show you how we splice wire together. Over the years, we've tried different ways of splicing wire together. We found out that the Nyco press crimp works the best for us. It's a little bit stronger, and it's also longer, so you only have to crimp down once versus the smaller crimps where you have to add more and more together. With this type of crimping system, one crimp does it all. People want to have a fence that's going to last a long time. This is one of the tools that we use to make sure that that happens. If you'd like to find out more about constructing a fence, go to our website at beamfence.com.
All right, this one comes to me from a fellow by the name of Gordon. He says, Keith, I love watching your shows because I like seeing and learning about deer. The problem is I'm always on the road and seem to miss your show. Any suggestions? Gordon, that's the reason why we put our shows online. All you need to do is go online, go to deerandwildlifestories.com, and we have a link right there to every single one of the shows that we've done this season, last season, season 4 last. Just go to Deer and Wildlife Stories 24/7 without commercials, and you can watch on demand. It's absolutely free. That's a good question, Gordon. All right, so these look like yearlings from their bodies, but their antlers look like they're 2-year-olds. So tell me about them. Who are they?
That's just last year's crop of fawns that have now become yearlings. And they are, I think there's 44 of them in that pen, but it's a real large pen, and they have exceeded our expectations, and we thought they would be real good. And the most pleasing thing is there's a bunch of full sisters to some of the best ones.
All these guys right here were born on this farm.
That's our last year's buck crop.
Wow, so folks, what y'all are looking at, this is the first set of antlers on those deer. I look at it and I think there's some of them that are way over 200 inches. I mean, they're way over 200 inches. And the frames on them, I guess that's how come it's high, wide, and heavy. I mean, I look at them, I'm going, you got high, wide, and heavy, all put together, and I'm going, I don't know which one's my favorite one. There's a great big wide one over there with one brow tine, and I really, really like him. Tell me about him.
Well, he happens to be the one buck out of a set of quadruplets, so we have 3 womb sisters to him.
Wow. And so was he the result of artificial insemination?
He was, and he's the result of us outcrossing with some new genetics into our does that have been line bred for like 5 generations now.
And see, Bob is the one really that kind of masterminds this genetic makeup, and so he realized years ago that y'all needed to outcross to something, and it's clear that he has figured out the producers. You know, he talked to us about dominant genetics and looking for that dominant genetic line, that whether it's those tine length or mass or width, whatever, and it's clear that he struck a nerve on that one. That's good. But what about Pink 44 over there? I mean, that's a heck of a nice deer there.
That's another result of our outcrossing. That's a P.A. Geronimo's son, and his twin brother's in the pen with him there, and that's that real big one that's bigger than him score-wise, but that 44 is a very beautiful one, and we think enough of him that we've named him, and we normally don't name bucks out of yearlings, but we named him Quanah Parker.
And folks, listen to him because he's the daddy. He knows. He's been doing this a long time, and these deer right here, he didn't buy any of them. Okay, they made these. I mean, between Greg and Bob and Cleon, they made these deer, and that's their program. When you take a look at the quality across the board, I mean, there's farms that have got a lot more deer than you, okay, that may get lucky and produce 1 or 2 as big as yours, but consistently, yours average, they're beautiful. So I know quality genetics, you've got them in those animals.
Thank you. I'm very excited about them, but I'm always excited about the new crop that comes in.
This is an exciting time of year, and it's a time of year that a lot of deer farm tours go on. Okay, so if somebody wants to tour your farm, give them a telephone number to call.
I'm the one that's, of the three of us, that's here on the ground every day, all day long, and the one that gets to do that.
Okay, so what phone number can they reach you on?
214-384-4006.
And folks, bring a pair of binoculars with you and bring a camera, because you're not going to believe your eyes.
From the moment I got here and I shook their hands, it became very apparent there's a lot more here than just big deer. These people have passion, they have commitment, and they're having fun doing it. The deer business is like the fountain of youth for everybody, and especially Cleon. A man his age having this much fun ought to be illegal, and being able to share it with his partner and his son Greg, and then also with Bob, they have built something that, yes, it's fun, and yes, it's profitable, and yes, it's very impressive, but the most important thing they built is a relationship between themselves, between the deer, and now the most important thing that came out of today's show is the relationship that I have built with them. And I hope that y'all have been able to feel the passion, the commitment that these guys have, not just towards the deer, but towards the future of deer and the future of our country. Because as deer farmers, like right here at High, Wide, and Heavy, that to me, these are some of the greatest stewards of the resource there are.